Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So in today's tutorial I'll be sharing with you guys how to make a corset blouse with a Basque waistline. So here are the materials I'll be working with in the making of this dress, and you can see here I already have my bra cup, which is 2 inches bigger than my actual bust size. I have my boning, and I also have my African print here with me. I have my yellow lining, which is this you see, and I have my Warden as well. And I'll also be working with a hard interfacing in this tutorial, and also have my hair stay. So this is it, and I also have my bias strip here, and I also have my other sewing tools here with me, my ruler, measuring tape, my marker, scissors, my pencil, etc, etc. So behind the camera I went ahead to actually draft the basic bodies. So I have my chest line, I have my bust points, my under bust, and my waistline. So from my waistline I went ahead to mark extra 7 inches, and those 7 inches will be serving as my basque effects. I hope you understand what I mean. Okay, so I just went ahead to write that so you know that that part is actually my basque, my backs, whatever. Okay, so I divided my nipple to nipple of 7 inches into three, and I have 3 inches, and I went ahead to mark it on all of these lines. Please trust me that I'm going to highlight all of this because it's actually looking faint using my pencil to mark this. So I went ahead to just mark 3.5 inches on all that points, and that 3.5 inch, like I said earlier, is my nipple to nipple measurement of 7 inches. So after making all those points I went ahead to connect it into a straight line. So from my bust point I went ahead to come down by half of an inch, just as you see it right there, and on my waistline as well I went ahead to come out by half of an inch at both sides, just like this. Please, I hope you can understand what I am saying. So having done this, now you can see my half of an inch. I went ahead to use my ruler to connect that half of an inch to the half inch which I came down by at my bust point area. Hope you can see it. I actually had to zoom this very well so it's very obvious. I took the light and I brought it back. So this is how you're going to connect, just like this, slantly, just like this, and it has to be pointed at both ends. So for my bust points now I'm going to go up by 3.5 inches. The reason for this is because I actually want this my corset top to be covered. I don't want to show any cleavage or any breast, whatever it is. I don't want to show it, so I went ahead to connect that into a straight line. So I came to my underbust, and from the lines there you can see I came out by half of an inch. You can see how I came out by half of an inch, starting from the lines which is by the side. I hope you understand. So this is what half of an inch is. So the next thing I'll go ahead to do now is to use my curved rule. I'll place this like this, and it will be touching the half of an inch at that under bust area, and I'll connect it to my bust point area, just like this. I hope you understand. You don't have to worry because I'm actually highlighting this with my marker, so I'm just using my pencil as a guide. Please, I'm so sorry that it was this faint. Honestly, it wasn't intentional. So back to what we are doing. So you are just going to go ahead to connect that line from that point like this, straight. So the only part that is meant to be curved is from your under bust to your bust point, so the rest is just going to be straight down, just like this. So I went ahead to mark a straight line down, 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 all the way to my backs area, just like this. So we have formed our darts, or our waist and under bust darts. So now the next thing I'll do is to come to my shoulder area. I'm going to divide my shoulder into two. I'll get the middle point of this my shoulder, I'll make a point right there, and I'll just go ahead and connect that line into my bust point, sorry, into my dart line which I have on my bust point. Okay, so just like this, I'm just going to connect from my shoulder all the way down into my dart line, just like this. Please look closely, you understand what I mean. So from that point now, which is from that line where I went up by 3.5 inches, I went ahead to come in by half of an inch here, and from that line as well I went ahead to mark to go down by half of an inch as well. So I'll connect these two teeny tiny lines together, just like this, and I'll extend that line to my chest line. I hope you are following. I hope you understand. I really apologize for how faint this pencil was. Trust me, it wasn't intentional. So now my my underbust, I'm going to measure what I have. That's my dart intake there, and I have 1.5 inches. So this 1.5 inches, I'm going to be splitting it on this line which I'm extending, which I came up by 3.5 inches from my bust point. I hope you're not confused. So for the center of this my dress, I'll be marking half of an inch because I placed it on that line, which is my dad's line, and by the sides I will be marking 1 inch, just like this. I hope you can see what I did. So just like that, I'm just going to connect that line now into this my dad's line, just like this. Hope you can understand and see what I'm doing. I gave half inch for the center of my dress and 1 inch to the sides of this my dress. I hope you understand what I am doing right here. So having done that, now I'm just going to connect from that line, that half inch which I came in by, up to this other part, just like this. Just like this, I had to connect, and that is just it. And the next thing I went ahead to do now is to connect from that my half of an inch into my underbust. Please don't alter with that half of an inch which you came in by. So from that point, I'll be connecting directly into my underbust. Hope you can actually see what I am doing, please. So having done that now, so I zoomed it in so you can see it very well. So on my armhole area, I had to divide what I have on that point into two, and I marked the midpoint of that, and from that midpoint I'm just going to come down by half of an inch, just like this. So I'll use my ruler and just connect that into a straight line. So having connected that, the next thing I'm going to do is that from the side of my cup, I'm going to come down like this. You see how I did that? So this is how I'm just going to come down and connect this to the half inch which I came down by at that my armhole area. So you can see this is what I actually mean. And from that point now, I'm just going ahead to connect this into my into my under bust area, just like this. So you have to keep your curve very well so there will be space to accommodate your boobs. So I now went ahead to use my marker at this point because I realized that this was very faint. So my apologies, please. So I'm highlighting every other thing which I did here to be more visible so you can see this very well. So this is basically all I did, and if you've been following me carefully and gradually, there is no way you will not understand all of these things which I did right here. So this is basically it, and the next thing now I'll go ahead to do now is to start imputing all my actual measurements. So I had to measure the dart space I have in between these two cups, and I have 1.5 inches. So I'll go ahead now and replace that dart, and I went ahead to mark my 1.5 inch, which is my sewing or joining allowance. And remember, I've already gone ahead to divide my bust circumference into 4. So on my waistline, I divided my waistline into 4. I measured the dart intake and I had to replace it, and I went ahead to also add extra 1.5 inch, which will serve as my joining or my sewing or stitching allowance. So I went ahead to connect my allowance together, and I went ahead as well to connect my actual measurements together. Hope you understand what I mean here. So I connected this together just like this. So after this now, I want this to be a 3-part corset. I went ahead to mark 2 inches by the sides, 2.5 inches at the center of my cup, and 2 inches by the other side of my cup. So after marking all of this, I went ahead to use my curved rule to connect from the 2 inches I have by the sides to the 2.5 inches I marked at the middle point, and to the 2 inches I have by the center side of my dress. So after this, now I just went ahead to extend that line to my Basque area, but it's not really necessary. So it's just for me to have a guide on how to cut this. So now I'm cutting out this, and please watch carefully so you know the parts that will actually be cut out. So I went ahead to cut out from my cup area, and yes, I'm cutting out from my dart area as well, and this is it. And after cutting out this part, now I went ahead to make arrows so I'll know the parts that will be going in with the other side. And I went ahead to label this my cup, center front and side front, so I know actually what I'm doing. So I went ahead to cut out for that upper part, and I'm going to be joining that upper part, but first of all I went ahead to label it. So now with my front bodies, I'm going ahead to close up these darts which I already removed. So I'm going ahead to join these two pieces together just like this, and with my masking tape I went ahead to close this up. And after closing it up, now the next thing I'm going to do is that I'll come to that my waist area. That's from the my actual measurement, not from the part I added my allowance or that allowance. So I came down by 1 inch, and I just connected this with my ruler straight, and at my full length I'm going to come in like this by 1.5 inches. And this 1.5 inches, by the time I open this up on my fabric, I'll be having 3 inches. So I'm just going to connect this into these points just like this. So this is it, and I went ahead to extend that 1 inch line downward like this, and I used my ruler to connect these 2 points together. So having done this, now I'll go ahead now and cut out all of this piece just like this. And this is it for the front part of this corset top, and I'll be working for the cups now. So those top parts, that top part, I'm just going to be joining these 2 parts using my masking tape as well. And after joining it, I'm going to get a piece of paper, because I'm going to join it together to be one, and I'll bring a piece of paper and I'll go ahead to trace out this on this new piece of paper just like this. So because I actually want this to be one piece without any joining or anything, so go ahead and trace out just like this. And after tracing this out, I'll just go ahead and carefully cut this out the exact way that I traced it on this particular piece of paper. So this is it. So I'll go ahead now and cut this exactly the same way I traced this out. And after this, I'll just go ahead now to label all these cups. So the first one I have here, I labeled it the one center piece, and this is my side front, 2 and 3 my side front, and the arrows to indicate the parts that I'll be joining. So this is it, and I'm done with the front part of this dress, and I'll move ahead to draft out for the back part of this my top. So now I place this on another, that my front body is on another paper. So I'll go ahead and trace the top part. I'll trace out the sides, and also I'll stop exactly under my waist area. So you can see I stopped exactly at that point. So I'll move over to the center front, and I'll go ahead to trace out the center front of this. And after tracing this out, I'll remove the top the front part of my dress, and I'll connect all these lines together just like this. So after this, now the next thing I'll go ahead to do is to take this measurement to know if it actually fits with the front bodies. So now from that point, I'm going to be coming in by 2 inches. So I'm not attaching a zipper to this actually, so that's the reason for this. I'll be making use of loops for this dress. So I went ahead to mark 2 inches, and this is it. I connected like this, and I don't really want my back to be straight, so I use my curved rule to make a little bit of curve on this. So after doing that, now the next thing I'll go ahead to do is to cut out all of these parts just like this. So you can see what I have. I'm done drafting for the back, and this is how simple it is to do this for the back actually. And here's my front bodies, and I have all my cups placed like this, and those arrows are helping me to indicate the parts that are meant to be joined. So now the next thing I'll go ahead to do is to draft out all of this piece on my main fabric, and you can see what I have here already, and I didn't draft exactly on the way I cut out on my pattern paper. So please do ensure you watch the second part of this video, because I'll be showing you how to sew this. Thank you for coming this far to watch this tutorial. I really do appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you next time on the same channel. Bye.